Just when it feels like the Chicago Bulls have it all figured out, they do something like this. Now, if you are new to the channel, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago Bulls weekly on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago Bulls, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. So per Casey Johnson, I want to jump straight into this because this is news that just it makes you kind of feel like, okay, they're figuring it out. They're moving in the right direction. They're starting to get things together. We've got a little bit of a core. Wait a minute. Because per Casey Johnson, the Chicago Bulls have listed multiple starters on the injured list, on the injury report here. Nikola Vucevic right now questionable with right calf soreness. Remember, that was an injury that held him out for about 2 weeks here with the Bulls when the Bulls were actually getting some really good play out of Zach Collins. Josh Giddey is now questionable with a right flexor capriolaris. I think that's here in like the shoulder area. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. And Coby White is listed as out with rest on the books as well. Kevin Huerter also out with a right cervical strain, which I didn't even know was something that guys could get. I didn't think that we could do that. But hey, shout out to new information. No, but anyway, here's my big thing with all of this, right? It sounds very suspicious to me that all of a sudden we've got all of these guys with all these injuries that are popping up. Now, not to say Josh Giddey has not been playing through some things. He has been dealing with some injury issues. Of course, Kevin Huerter missed a couple of games due to some injury as well. Nikola Vucevic also missed time due to some calf soreness. So all of them could seem perfectly fine on the surface, and maybe that's why they don't want to play Coby White in this game. But I do find it incredibly interesting that at the end of the season, it almost feels very much like, hey, we're very content to sit our players to finish out this year because this is a very important game. And leading up to this point, we have seen all of these guys be on the injury report, play through said injuries, do everything that they could to get the wins, to get them to a certain point, to put you in a position to where you're almost there to get the 8th seed. And when you start to get a little bit close, it almost feels like AK said, whoa, we don't want to make the playoffs. We want to be here in the play-in. Now, in the retrospect of things, in the long term of things, is this going to matter? Probably not. And I would even say there could be a positive that comes out of this. If you watch today's episode of the Windy City Breeze, you'll be able to see that, my comments with that, with Jordan JC and all those guys talking about that as well. But the conversation right now that I think really stands out is the fact that you've got a team right now of young pieces that needs as many reps as they can together going up against the playoff team that if you do get into the playoffs in a play-in spot, you are going to play. Now, you could avoid this by maybe getting the Knicks in the first round, trying to get to that 7th seed, going into the first round play-in spot and winning that game over the Orlando Magic. And now all of a sudden you're in a spot where you're actually playing the Knicks instead of playing the Cavaliers, but a team that's going to be incredibly difficult for you to play, a team that's you just don't match up well with size-wise, a team that I think the Bulls are going to struggle with more times than not. That's the team that you go out there and it feels like you're shying away from. Now, I could be completely wrong on this, but I think the fact that you see Casey Johnson say unexpected injury report from the Bulls, who are clearly prioritizing Wednesday's back half of that back-to-back. Well, Wednesday's back half is versus the Miami Heat, who, listen, the Miami Heat are cooking right now, and they're playing some phenomenal basketball. But is that the reason to not prioritize this game here? Are the Bulls at a point where they can not prioritize any one of these games? Are you telling me you're going to pack it in and try and basically hope that Miami loses a game and that's where you can kind of take over this 8th seed? You're not that basketball team. And I think that kind of I would assume this is a directive from the top. That kind of decision making is what has you in the position that you're in now, where you are cheering for a team that is trying to get into a playoff spot or into the play-in tournament and not into the playoffs where they are a legitimate team. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in and showing love. Let me know how you guys feel down there in the comments. Do you think this is a good move by the Chicago Bulls to sit Coby White? I mean, Coby White's out to rest. We know that that is the fact right now. And what seems like basically resting the rest of this team with the injuries that they have had, but that they have been clearly playing through. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. Now, I did say that I feel like there could be a good side to this if you are the Chicago Bulls. And I know people are going to look at that and go, Pat, what is the upside to literally sitting everyone? Well, number one, Donovan Mitchell is not playing in this game as well. So the Cavs may be a little bit more shorthanded. I do wonder how many of those pieces are going to sit in this game. But Modest Vucevic now essentially becomes the number one on this team, at least in my mind, when you're talking about going out there and getting a bucket. And that is the one thing we really haven't seen Modest be able to do. Ringo brought this up over on the Windy City Breeze on the Daily Show today, where he said, listen, this kind of feels like when P. Will went off at the end of the season and had this great game versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. And he had it was a 37-point game, and he dominated. He looked great, and Anthony Edwards was on the floor for half of the game, right? But it didn't mean anything in the long run because Patrick Williams is not that guy. And I think this would be different. Now, it depends on what Cavaliers are playing, who's sitting, who's not. But if you go into this game, and I'm expecting now a Bulls loss versus the Cavs. I shouldn't say that. I was expecting a Bulls loss anyway. But now it almost feels like a guarantee that, like, okay, you guys are prioritizing the Miami Heat portion of this. You guys don't care if you get the Cavs game here or not. But Modest Vucevic going out there, again, depending on who's playing, and if he's able to ball out, because we haven't seen him just get to be, hey, go chuck up shots. Go put yourself in a position to win this game. Go show out versus these guys. That's what I want you to do. Go ball out as much as you can. Put up 40 if you can find a way to put up 40. These are your shots. This is your moment to shine. This is your moment on the season. That is a positive because this is a confidence builder game. This is going to be versus somebody who, if you do make the playoffs, you can play in the playoffs. And I'll say this, right? It could be a message from Billy Donovan to Modest Vucevic of like, hey, listen, we don't get this done without you. And when we get in the playoffs, we're not going to be able to get this done without you. Giddey is great. Coby is great. But if we're going to win this series, and I know that's laughable, but the coaching staff is going to go out there and try and win the series. If we're going to win this series, we need you to be an absolute monster on the court. You can't not show up. So I want you to go out there and show up tonight. I think that you could be trying to do that, build some confidence in these young guys. Zach Collins is going to get a ton of run here. I would assume you're going to see some Jalen Smith in this, where you might actually get to see that two big lineup where, that's kind of what we've been wondering about with this Cavaliers team. How are you going to match up with Mobley and Allen here? I wonder if those two are going to play, but that's the lineup that I would expect to see some form or version of that in this lineup as well. And again, being able to build on the confidence that P. Will maybe got in that game in Charlotte. Finally saw him kind of have just an effortless game. Looked like he flowed through perfectly. Now, again, Charlotte, a much worse team than the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that is apples to apples, but I do feel like, building confidence in as many of these guys who are on the back end, who are coming off the bench as possible is going to be important for you heading into this play-in series. And if you win that, heading into the playoff series that you're going to have ahead of you. And so maybe this is Billy Donovan's tactic to try and get the most out of some of these back-end guys, these young guys, the Dalen Terrys, the Julian Phillips, that you can get heading into this game right now. We'll see what ends up happening here, but at the end of the day, I don't like the move to sit these guys. I don't think that you're a good enough team to be sitting guys, and I would rather see them playing, but we'll see what ends up happening here tomorrow as the Bulls take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let me know how you guys feel down in the comments below, man. Do you think that there could be a silver lining in all of this? As always, man, y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. See Red Nation, stand up. Peace.